Hey everybody, Jason Sherman here. Welcome to Zero to CEO. In today's episode, I have with me best-selling author Sherry Fernandez. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jason.
Awesome. And today's topic is personal progression toward an infinite potential. I like that. I actually was doing a meditation podcast. It was Deepak Chopra's Infinite Potential. It was like a 21-day challenge. So I like that whole thing. Tell me a little bit about how you came up with, doing that kind of industry. Like, what was like your backstory behind? I mean, I'm assuming you wrote a book about it.
Yeah, it's a good question, and it's one I like because I think my trajectory is a little bit different. I started in the 20s with so little and so nothing. My husband and I partied away our preparatory years, I guess. We were been party people, and then all of a sudden there I was wanting things and no education, no money, and poorer than you can imagine. And I just said, I think I can have it all, and I just need to figure out how. I just need to find out how it's done. So, and my husband felt the same way. We went to work on ourselves and started listening to, reading, even attending events when we could afford it, of some of the masters, the old ones like Zig Ziglar and Jim Rohn was a favorite, and Brian Tracy and a lot of those people. And along the way, I thought, okay, this is all great, but I need a starting point. So I thought, found some ways to actually apply in a real way the things I was learning. So tracking my daily habits, that kind of thing. And as people watch our lives, my life change, I was invited to speak here and talk to a group there. And I kept this is 40 years of growth. So this didn't happen really fast, but we had set a goal to be worth $1 million by the time we were 40, and we're in our mid-20s at this point, and did that. And so that got some attention. So I began speaking and teaching some classes on personal development and working with people. Later, I started a fitness business and started working with people one-on-one in personal development, because once they got the fitness thing down, they realized that they were on a whole life, the rest of their life kind of program that they could do, and they were getting a handle on it. They would look for other ways to grow. And I was pretty well equipped to help them do that. So I started doing one-on-one and still was speaking. And I don't know, here I am 45 years later. At one point I started trying to write a book.
So it's like so it's like the definition of a personal progression. I mean, you really spent decades progressing yourself. And that's one of the things I always tell people, is that they should always be progressing to make the best version of themselves, or just continue to make yourself a better version of yourself. And in your case, you would say that you can't really achieve any true sense of joy unless you're doing that. So explain to me how people can do that, because people always feel stuck in their lives, especially post-pandemic. Everyone is definitely feeling stuck. So how do you achieve that sense of joy by making a better version of yourself? What are some of the steps you took in those 20 years?
Well, first of all, I would say to help understand the concept is, I think you said it, we feel, a lot of people feel stuck. We know that we're not happy when we're stuck, when we're not moving forward. And there's no such thing really as being stuck. We're actually backward sliding, right? Because everything's got to be living or dying. But when we're not progressing, we know it's not happiness. And of course, on the opposite side of that, when we are moving forward, we're happier. What you say is a real problem. We think, especially in our media-driven world, that I need to get from where I'm at right here to way over there. Like, if I just lost the 20 pounds, or I need a new job, or if I had an education, and we think that there's some kind of magic thing, if we just have the right formula, we can make a big leap forward. But there are no big steps. There's just little consistent steps forward. But the thing that's so cool about that is the joy comes in the first step, and they compound. It's not like a one road, one step after another. The more we do those forward steps, the more they kind of fan out and compound, where we grow faster and faster and faster and faster the more that we do. So if somebody feels stuck, I say just take the first step. Pick a habit you want and start today.
Well, plus, you're mentioning the first step and then the step after, and continuously, being consistent about the steps. And I think, at least for me personally, as I'm doing that, or as I've done that in the past, I start to notice that it just gets easier and easier and easier to achieve more personal goals, or continuing to be a better version of yourself, until you get to a point where you're happy with where you're at. And then you can start speaking about it to people and telling them how to do it. And it sounds like that's what you did as well. So let me ask you a question. So how do you know what your potential is in the first place? Because there's people out there who they might have an idea of what they want out of life, but they're like, but how do I know I can do that? Or how do I know what it is I'm supposed to be doing in the first place? Like, how do you figure that out?
Well, by definition, you don't, because it is infinite. We can't understand something that's infinite. But this is what powers me it just never ceases to amaze me, the potential people have. I'm working with people and they can do so much so quickly with a little bit of direction. The power, the potential we have will surprise ourselves, and we'll continue to surprise ourselves when we move forward. You said something that reminded me of this about moving forward, but it's like almost addictive too. You said the more you do, the more you can do.
Yeah.
Also, the more you want to. You say, that was cool. It's like my clients who would start finally get a handle on their physical, and then they'd be like, this is cool. What else can I do? I want to work on my budget. I want to work on my marriage, because this is good stuff.
Yeah.
But it's got to start with a step forward. But it's so worth it, right? To just get off the couch, put down your phone, and do something, and then just move on from there.
Yeah, but some people, I mean, I've personally known people who don't really know. Maybe they don't know themselves, right? Maybe they haven't discovered what their true potential is, and maybe that's why they want a life coach. Maybe that's why they need some help to kind of get nudged in the right direction. Or maybe they just don't have like the kind of tools or creativity needed to progress.
Yeah.
So those are the people that I'm assuming are watching or listening to this now and are looking for advice on how can they make that first step.
Yes. And if you have a good coach, I don't think there's a lot of really good ones. That's like, I really do. All right. Well, that's a problem.
That's why we need some tips from you.
I wish I could work with everybody, because it's true. People come to me and they'll think I'm just confused. I don't know where to start.
Right.
It takes so little effort to direct him. I just have to talk to him for a little bit. And I say, sounds like maybe this,
What would you say to somebody? So let me hear it. What would you say to, give me an example of something you told somebody.
I would talk to them first and find out kind of what because I don't want to set goals for somebody else. But usually I ask them to start with the big dreams list. What are the things you could accomplish? I want 50 items, big things you'd like to do in life, just to get them thinking big. Then I ask them, what habit would they like to have in their life? Like, usually let's pick them a pull. And we'll pick 1 to 3 habits to start with. Yeah, a lot of people want prayer. Almost everybody I work with want that one, or meditation, or working out, or getting up at a certain time. They're usually out of that kind of a pool of habits. And then when we work on it, I show them how to track it, and we start there. But if I listen long enough, what you're talking about, they want certain things out there. If I listen, I can see when the eyes light up, and I can observe. When you talk about this, you get all jazzed up. When we talk about this other thing that you think you're supposed to be doing, you don't seem as excited. Is that true? And pretty soon we're able to narrow down what they really want. And it doesn't take very long. I'm so surprised, Jason, how quickly I've got a gal who's been wanting to write a novel for years since an outline, and I've worked with her for 4 months. She's been for 3 months. She's been writing that novel. And
nice.
Got a rough draft. Another gal who wanted to do a Christian album, and she didn't want to do that for several years. And once we determined that's really what she wanted, well, what first step can you take? Well, I could do this. Okay, let's do that. It's been maybe 6 weeks, and they've got a good start on that album.
Nice.
And they should have their original recording done anytime. So isn't that cool? I mean, it's
almost like you're a muse. You're helping people unleash the creative juices they have, and you're kind of maybe motivating them to get started, because that's a problem, right? People are afraid. Isn't fear kind of part of this whole thing?
Yes.
And what
if it's the wrong thing?
Yeah.
That's just, I don't do very much magical. I don't think I'm music. I just think I observe enough. I do want to make this thing though.
Hey, the gods used to observe puny humans and then unleash some sort of magical juices. So I don't know. Maybe
and they got it inside them, right? I don't do anything. I just observe it and notice it, and then they go forth and they do it. That's what's so cool. But when I wrote Life Mastery, I wrote it because I wish that everybody could have a coach like that, because these are ordinary people with ordinary dreams that otherwise, if they'd not found me, I don't know for sure that they would have ever done these things, or it would have taken a long time. And maybe they would have found a different coach. But I wrote my book hoping that anybody who really wanted to get direction, there was real tools and real things in there that they could actually, I hope it comes across that way, that they could sort of sort it out themselves.
Now, I noticed something that you wrote, and I was curious about this, because you mentioned that being successful or wanting to be successful and making a lot of money is a good driver for mastery. Walk me through that, because I've grown up from the perspective that wanting to make a lot of money doesn't equate success, because money doesn't buy happiness, yada, yada. So you shouldn't be always chasing the dollar, because then you start to lose what's, true in your life. So maybe I'm misinterpreting this. Walk me through what you mean by that.
Well, let's first, say right up front that people can be miserable and rich and miserable and poor, or happy and rich and happy and poor.
Exactly.
But it is one of the things of life. It is a thing in life. It's a tool, and we can do so much good if we have it. If we can't have it, it's really hard to work on ourselves if we don't have the financial. So it's one of 8 areas. It's just one. It's not more important or less important than any of them. We're physical, our spiritual, our financial, our vocation. It's just one piece of a bigger puzzle. Yeah. So many times when we refer to people as successful, that we're talking about this as a successful person. It's usually about money, but really a successful person has good relationships. They have a spiritual life. They're in good shape. They're well educated. They're working on themselves all the time. Right. That's a successful person. And the money is just one factor. It is certainly not a bigger factor than anything else, or smaller.
And you used a word that I really like, tool. You said money is a tool. And I believe that same thing. The saying of money doesn't buy happiness is true, but you can use money as a tool to make things better for your life or others' lives as well. Right. Versus a main driver behind things. So I really like that a lot. Now, I'm sure being a life master and like unlocking potential requires a ton of routine and habits, right? So what are some of the habits that you would tell someone who's coming into your office, they're schlepping in there, they are depressed and miserable, they don't know what to do next, and you say these are like the top 5 habits you need to learn to really start changing your life?
I don't tell them, I ask them, but I guide them.
Okay, well, you're telling me. You're telling me.
They're going to have to do something to work out. They're going to have to be physically fit. And so they're going to have something in that realm.
Exercise, fitness, health, wellness.
It's kind of fundamental. When I first started, I thought it's the spiritual. You get the spiritual in place, then the physical will come. I've learned that the physical, for most people, is the thing they got to master first. And then they know they can do the other things. Besides that, our body is the instrument that we work with and we feel with and we do with. So we need to get our instrument all tuned up. So make sure they're doing something physical. There's something for their mindfulness or their spirituality, so that they're praying or devotional, or they're meditating, that they're doing something like that. Eventually we'll get there. I don't start. I let them pick first. But I eventually will get them there. Education. I have a lot of young people that one thing I do is I make myself available, and my husband does the same. For just somebody calls, can I just pick your brain, and we'll go buy them lunch and talk to them. So a lot of young people will say, give me one tip for success. Read in your field for a minimum of 30 minutes every single day. Most people don't do that, and you'll be a master within a year or two. So that would be one that I'd say, if you're whatever
30 minutes a day.
30 minutes minimum a day in your field.
Reading about the field you're in, whether it's publications, books, articles, just learning about it.
Depending on what your field is, usually I like to guide people towards books, but some are changing so rapidly that they'll have to read other kinds of things. And then some other kinds of education. You want a spiritual education, and you want to read a little fiction. So I try to encourage people to read other things as well. So those are fairly major things. Getting out of bed on time, if that's a problem. Being on time to events, if that's a problem, we'll work on those habits.
So daily routine in terms of just scheduling.
It's all about what you do every day. That's who you become. And people talk a lot about the law of attraction. This one gal I saw on Facebook, she said, I'm sitting on my couch every day manifesting money falling into my lap. Good luck with that.
Right. The secret.
It's who we be. The law of attraction is this. It's we become something. As we move towards something, we're also becoming something, and it pulls us, because of who we're becoming, it pulls that thing towards us. We still have to do the work to move towards it, but it's who we're becoming that will draw it. So what you do every day is who you're becoming. And I know people think I'm really hardcore, but if I'm committed to a habit, I'm committed like 100%. Every day. Yes. You just do it.
You're preaching
and it doesn't matter if it's Christmas, and it doesn't matter if you don't feel very good. It doesn't matter if it's 0 degrees outside.
Thank you. I'm preaching to the choir here. Every single tip you just gave me, I've been following for 1 or 2 decades now. And I thought maybe I was a little strict on myself, but it sounds like I'm not. It sounds like I'm doing the things that you teach your clients. And now I feel much better knowing that I'm doing the right things. And then when I try to help my friends or family, I'm not crazy for trying to do that. Okay. Because I almost feel like I'm maybe a little overbearing on people, and I might seem a little intimidating that I do this, and this, and you should too to feel better. But it sounds like I'm doing the right thing. So Sherry, thank you.
Yeah, it's rare air for sure, because most people, and there's a good case. I don't feel good today. I'm not going to work out. Okay, you can make a good case for that, and I wouldn't argue it.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to do that, because what I want, I know that workout that I don't feel very good and don't want to do, that's going to be the most important workout I do all day.
Yep.
The ordinary person's going to say, it's cold outside, I'm not going to put my walk in today.
I still go.
I don't want to be an ordinary person, right?
Yeah.
If you want to be who you want to be, it's not about the walk. It's about who I'm becoming, not about the weather. So then I do the thing, right? And it's not that we're all still human and we still have times. There's still things that happen beyond our control. But to the best of my ability, I'm committed, and I will do this thing.
Perfect.
And I won't, and nothing gets in my way. And then I have more power. It sounds self-centered, but then I have more. My cup is full. And the only way we influence other people is by our example too.
Right. We have to.
I can teach more by who I am.
Absolutely.
And so the more I am, the more people will be drawn to me, and then the more I can help them. Right. Like you too. You do these things, then people are going to be drawn to your strength because you have developed that.
Right.
And they want that. And people want that kind of strength in their life. They want people who are strong.
Perfect.
They can look up to.
And where can people find out more about what you do and your book and your website? Well,
the book is both on Audible and on Amazon, and it's Life Mastery, of course, Personal Progression Towards an Infinite Potential, the Sherry Fernandez. We say Fernandez. And it's also, we've got a website, lifemasteryinfo.com, and I'm very accessible. I'm Sherry, SHERRY, at lifemasteryinfo.com. And if you email me, I will email you back. I do that always. So that's how you can get a hold of me. Of course, I'm on Facebook and got a Facebook page, Life Mastery Mentoring on Facebook. And that's about all the social media I can manage. So
that was great, Sherry. Thank you so much. And hopefully everyone learned something about unlocking your potential. Check out lifemasteryinfo.com. Thank you, Sherry. And as always, we'll see you guys in the next episode.